You're listening to the Highly Sensitive Club, episode number 12. Have you been told you're too sensitive, too dramatic, or too much? Do you have big feelings and deep thoughts you don't always know what to do with? I'm Stephanie Lynn, a certified life coach and highly sensitive person. I've helped dozens of highly sensitive clients feel more energized, more confident, and more in control of their high sensitivity. In these episodes, you'll get the information and inspiration to level up your life as a highly sensitive person too. Welcome to the Highly Sensitive Club. Hello, highly sensitive person. I am so excited for this episode of the Highly Sensitive Club. Welcome, whether this is your first episode or your most recent episode. And this episode, actually, I had some experience with this weekend because I took the entire weekend off, absolutely no working, which was great. And I went hiking with my friends and my fiance. I went to a new restaurant. We hit Maple Street Biscuit Company, which I guess is really popular in the South in the States and has just moved up into Columbus. So we tried it out. I love biscuits, and these biscuits are delicious. So for my one joy eat, just the thing that I eat every week that I do for fun because it sounds good or I want to try it or just because it tastes delicious, that was Maple Street Biscuits, and it was fantastic, delicious. We also played some video games. I played a lot of Stardew. We played some hidden object games, which I'm super into. And I am working my way through a print copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, which is an enormous book. And it just shows me how much I have come to rely on audiobooks over the pandemic because reading an 800-page print book feels very weird now. Lots of shows. Basically, it was the perfect staycation. And a funny thing happened over the weekend because I had purposely not planned anything for the weekend. And I'm sorry about the clicking and the clacking. My hands just move around because I'm so excited and I talk with my hands and my rings hit things and I knock things over. So I'm leaving them because that is just a part of the recording. And as I was going through my weekend, it was purposely unplanned and we were just kind of adding things in as it sounded good. And I had this tension about what do I want to do? I have all these options. I want to work on my self-coaching group coursework. I want to read a book. I want to play a game. I want to take a walk. I want to go for a hike. And trying to decide in the moment what I wanted to do felt kind of stressful at the beginning of the weekend because I was so used to having a very structured week, and then going from very structured to not structured at all left me feeling a little bit adrift. So if you are one of those people who often feels like you are overthinking a lot, you're getting into analysis paralysis, you're freezing, even on basic stuff, you are not alone. And that is exactly what today's episode is about, which is how to overcome overthinking, which continues my series on how to overcome very common highly sensitive person problems. So as highly sensitive people, processing and thinking about things in deep ways is kind of our specialty. We thrive on weighing different options and looking at different angles of things, kind of doing that 360, almost as if it's a prism, and looking at all these different facets and factors when we're making decisions. This starts to get in our way when we get stuck in the processing mode and don't switch into the doing mode, let alone the being mode, which means just embodying the person we want to be as we're going through our days. A lot of us feel very comfortable in doing mode once we get out of processing, but just being can be a little bit of a challenge for us. So what we often do is we'll loop over the same thoughts over and over again, or we'll weigh the same options over and over again, or we'll ruminate, meaning we go over the same worries or the same embarrassing moment from our past over and over again. Or we'll do some future tripping and we'll shadow box, meaning we'll rehearse an argument or a tough conversation or a situation with some conflict in advance, and we make ourselves stressed out. So this leads us to analysis paralysis, where we basically freeze ourselves in place in our minds because we are weighing so many options and we get ourselves stuck. And this shows up in big ways and small ways. So this could be as little as, what do you want to eat? Or shout out to my bestie who pointed out that I talk about tea in every episode. So now I'm going to have to talk about tea in every episode for fun. that small decision might be, which tea do I want to drink? Do I want to go for the full caffeinated Irish breakfast, or do I want to do the decaf Irish breakfast? What time of day is it? It could even be an activity too. So for me over the weekend, it was, oh my gosh, I have all these options. Do I want to read? Do I want to take care of some chores? Do I want to surf the reels on Instagram or some shorts on YouTube? Do I want to journal? Do I want to go for a walk? So it can be very small things, but all of those things tend to add up and create that freeze response if we're not handling them and we're not handling our internal state. Now, it could also lead you to some big things too. If you tend to be an overthinker and that's a habit that you have, there might be some very big things in your life that you tend to overthink and you feel stalled on. That could be as big as, what do you want to do with your life? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Or even what kind of work lights you up? If you're listening to this podcast, I know that you are a growth-minded, probably creative, highly sensitive person, and I tend to attract entrepreneurial, highly sensitive people, which does not necessarily mean that you start a business or a side gig, but it could mean that you're just very creative and you have projects that you like to work on, whether that's art projects or you want to write a book or you're working on some other kind of writing project. We tend to be very self-paced and self-driven in our projects and the things that we want to accomplish in our lives. So this could even be your creativity too. If you're a multi-passionate person like I am, then you probably have a lot of projects or ideas of things that you want to start. And so you might get stalled trying to decide, well, which one do I do next? Or do I eliminate some of these? Because you can't do all of them at once. That's a yes and no. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But what this leads to is a lot of worrying and a lot of ruminating on the past and a lot of shadow boxing in the future and things that may never even happen. When we have too many things to deal with at once or too many decisions to make, by the end of the day or even midway through the day for we highly sensitive people, this might turn into decision fatigue. And decision fatigue means that you've made so many decisions, your brain is like, nope, I'm out. I do not want to make any more decisions. Someone please decide what we're having for dinner tonight because I don't have it in me. We have so much energy to make decisions throughout the day, but we as highly sensitive people, we run out a little bit faster. And I like to use the analogy with my clients of a battery, where you have to charge your phone probably every day, unless you are really using it judiciously. Maybe you can charge it every other day, but eventually your phone's battery is going to die and you have to recharge it. For highly sensitive people, we tend to have more apps running regularly, and so our battery drains faster and we need to recharge it more frequently than the average person, which is totally normal. It just means that we run very efficiently. We have a lot of things that we're processing, and so our energy depletes faster. No big deal. We just need to recharge. But what this means as far as overthinking and analysis paralysis is concerned is that the faster you're using your energy on making decisions, the faster you're draining your battery and the faster you run out of that fuel and that energy to continue making decisions throughout the day. So what this leads to is procrastinating, that classic from a few episodes ago, and I'm going to call it perfectioning, trying to get things just right or do the best option or optimize it or make it more efficient. And we get so stuck in that we don't move forward. So time slips by us without us feeling like we put it to good use. If you have the experience of getting to the end of the day and looking back and saying, what exactly did I get done today? Like, I was busy, I did stuff, but I don't have anything at the end of the day that I really feel like I can point to and feel proud of. That is probably because there's some overthinking happening and some busy work, which those two coincide, that procrastinating and this analysis paralysis overthinking aspect. So I go through this too, as I did this weekend, and I have learned some simple ways to get out of the endless thought loops and the freeze response and to start getting progress again. So there are 4 techniques that I want to share with you today that can help you get out of analysis paralysis and overthinking. You can use all of these things and do them in order and kind of build off of each other, or you can choose 1 or 2 at a time and just try them depending on the situation, whatever works best for you. So the first one is to get clear on your values. And with my clients, I actually have a special tool that we use to determine what are your top values and how are you honoring those values in your day-to-day life. When you decide your values in advance, you predetermine the person that you want to be, which takes a lot of the angst and stress out of making decisions so that you can just make things based on your values. When you know what's important to you in advance, you don't have to spend so much time in the moment trying to decide, is this a good idea or is this not a good idea? Who does this affect? Does this affect me? How is this going to change my day or my routine or my schedules or my energy? You don't have to do that because you've already decided on the most important things for you. So if you haven't done a top values exercise, there are tons of great stuff online, but you can also go to my website, stephanielynn.com, and find some great free tools there on how to assess your values and what's most important to you. The second thing, in addition to values, is to get rid of this idea that there's a right or wrong way to do things. And that's why I mentioned that entrepreneurial spirit, because entrepreneurs are people who create their own solutions, and we're willing to experiment and we're willing to try things in a different way than something that somebody told us or that they prescribed for us. Now, it is very normal, and I hope that you take some good takeaways from my podcast episodes and my YouTube channel, but these things are not intended to be a prescription that you must do it this way and you must come up with these answers. These are ideas and suggestions and information that you can use for whatever way works best for you. You can listen to your intuition. You can do it a little more sensing way by experimenting and deciding what exactly works best for you as you're blazing your own trail. And here's the thing. We were taught that there is a right answer and a wrong answer for many things. As we're going through school, we were taught to memorize, we were taught to remember specific things and then to regurgitate them on a test. And that tells us whether we're right or wrong and how good we are at learning things, quote unquote. But I have found over the years in both of my businesses and in learning to coach and in coaching other people that a lot of times there is no right or wrong answer. And when we have this rule that there's a right way to do it, oftentimes that's what really gets us stuck and what keeps us from making progress towards our big goals. So if you can get into the mindset that you're trying things out, this is your first draft or your second draft, or you're going to try this out. And even if it doesn't work out the way you want or the way that you're going to use it, you didn't waste your time because you learned something from it. You gained a skill from it. So as soon as you can get rid of right and wrong, and this is a mindset issue, then the faster you can get moving and you can try things because you'll find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, rather than is this the objectively right way or the objectively wrong way, neither of which really exist. So once you've determined your values, you've gotten rid of right and wrong, now you can do a pro and con list, which a lot of highly sensitive people are very familiar with. But my motto tends to be, when in doubt, make a list. Either that or when in doubt, take a walk. It depends on where I am in the process. If I have a lot of thoughts and I just need to get them out, it's time to make a list. And this is where a cost payoff tool can be really, really helpful. And it's something that I've done with my clients, and they have gotten huge, huge insights out of this. So the pro-con list is not necessarily going to tell you, again, what the right answer is or the wrong answer. But what it will do is create awareness for you so that you can make an informed choice, knowing what the consequences and the benefits of each decision will be for you, so that you know what the whole picture is. A lot of us highly sensitive people really like to see the big picture. We're very comfortable with concepts and being at this very high level. We like to see the forest. But when you get into the pro-con list, this is a very simple and easy way for you to start to get into the trees, where you can see the details and the impact that those small steps are going to have on you over time. It's a great way to combine both that top-down thinking and the bottom-up thinking and put them together to your use. So in your pro and con list, for instance, I had a client that we did this about one of her clients, and she really didn't enjoy working with this woman, but she wanted to keep going for various reasons. So we did a cost payoff analysis on what it would be like to drop the client and maybe pass her off to someone else or try and find a better fit, or just let the family deal with what they wanted to deal with, or to continue working. And what the client discovered is that the benefit to staying with the client was really just to the client and the family, but the cost was in her energy, her time, her attention, and her mood, honestly, in addition to the money that she could be making for someone else. Whereas the payoff to leaving the client was all about her, but the cost would then be to the client or the family trying to find someone else. So what she decided was eventually to stay with the client, but she made that decision from an informed place of knowing that she might be giving up things that she values, but she's doing it so that she can benefit their relationships, the connection, and continue to make consistent income from working with this client. That was an informed decision. Now, you can do the same thing. When you do your pro and con lists, there's going to be a cost and a benefit to doing whatever you want to do. And this just creates awareness for you. So once you have your values down, once you've gotten rid of this right and wrong, and you're willing to experiment and get your mind in the right place, you can do your pro con list. And then the important step, number 4, is to take action. Now, I have talked about this before in the procrastination episode, but there is such a thing as positive procrastination, which looks like procrastinating, 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 organizing, whatever it is that looks like it's a productive action, but it's really not actually moving you forward in the way that you want to go. That is positive procrastination. Whereas you can get into productive action. This is always something that you can do that has usually an external action. That's not just reflecting, it's not just journaling or meditating. There's something tangible that you create in the world, even if it's just a teeny tiny micro step. And that's the difference between drawing out your progress versus taking baby steps and making that progress a little bit over time, which is often how we do big, hard things. When you take those baby steps, you practice becoming a more decisive and a more discerning person. So you spend less time draining your batteries trying to decide what to do and overthinking, but you also make headway in the direction you really want to go. Now, I have an example for you. I had a client who spent, in his words, about 70% of his time worrying about what path he wanted to take and all of these options for his encore career that he wanted to take. There were a lot of unfinished decisions, and he said it took 70% of his time hanging out in the background worrying about it. Now, if you're an average highly sensitive person, you're probably sleeping somewhere between 8 to 10 hours of sleep to feel fully rested. Let's call that 9 hours just on an average. That means in a 24-hour period, you're sleeping 9. That leaves you with 15 hours. I am not a math person, just a little caveat here. I have always been a word person, but this simple math really adds up, and it makes it very, very clear for all of us how our energy is going towards the things that we want or don't want. So coming back to the analogy, we've got 15 hours available after sleep, and 70% of that is 10 hours doing the things that you want to do, worrying in the background, ruminating and shadow boxing, and getting frozen in the thought loops that are keeping you from taking action. 10 hours a day. Isn't that crazy? Now, if you could lower that to even 50% of your time, suddenly you've gotten 2.5 hours back every single day that you're not worrying, ruminating, and looping. You're not overthinking. If you could even get it down to 10% of your time where you're weighing and processing and maybe doing a little bit more thinking than you need to, that would be 1.5 hours a day that you're spending worrying, weighing, processing versus 10. Now think about this over the course of the week. If you are going from 10 hours where you're constantly worrying in the background, or you're freezing and you're trying to take action and you're stuck on the procrastination, those positive seeming things that are actually busy work, then you're spending pretty much a full-time job not doing the things that you want to do. Whereas if you could go down to just 10%, thinking, over processing, and worrying, because those are things that we're naturally inclined to, then you end up getting back 50 hours of time each week that you can use on your energy, your attention, your time, your money, on the things that you want to do with your life. That's amazing. You can get back almost half of your available time from worrying and over processing. You do not have to be in analysis paralysis. You don't have to get decision fatigue. Any one of these 4 steps, or if you do all of them over time, building that habit and that practice, they're all going to help you get back your time and your energy, which are your most precious resources as a highly sensitive person. Whew, I'm so excited. I'm speaking over myself, so I just need to slow down. Instead, you can pursue all of your passions, which is eventually what this client decided to do. Instead of worrying about what the right path was and trying to eliminate options that all seemed really good to him, he decided, with some help from coaching, to pursue all of his passions, but to decide the order and to prioritize which ones to focus on first. That is the key. You can be multi-passionate. You can have tons of ideas and lots of creativity, and you can still make progress when you learn how to make decisions about your priorities. His baby step was to create his LLC and get started on this new encore career whatever that looks like as it's changing and evolving over time. But just taking that one baby step helped him head in the right direction. And that's the kind of action that I want you to take as well. When you're slowed down, when you're spending energy, when you're stuck in the past, or when you're stuck in general, you can get out of that instead of being caught in loops for days or weeks or months or years, which some of us do. You can practice making decisions, and you can build the habit of learning to process and not going over your threshold where you're overthinking, overprocessing, getting caught in analysis paralysis. You don't have to live there. You can actually get considerably faster. And when you do that, you turn your ability to process on a deep level and to think about things and put them together in new creative ways. And you use that to your advantage. You use your high sensitivity as the superpower it's meant to be, instead of thinking of it like a curse or your kryptonite that constantly gets in your way. Now, to recap, overthinking is anything that includes worrying, ruminating, analysis paralysis, which is just a freeze response, feeling stuck, and decision fatigue. This creates a very inefficient use of our time, our energy, our efforts, and our attention, which are so valuable to us as highly sensitive people. So in order to get out of this habit of overthinking, which it is a habit, there are 4 ways that you can build on each other or just choose one that works in the moment. The first one is to determine your values in advance. This makes it so much easier to make decisions because you always know what's in integrity for you. Number 2 is to decide that there is no more right or wrong, to get your mind in the right place so that you're willing to experiment, you're willing to do different drafts, you're willing to try things and learn from the experience, even if they don't turn out the way you want them to. The third one is to weigh your pros and cons for each decision, especially if this is a big one. If it's something simple like what to eat for dinner, try making a decision and then just seeing how it feels. That could be a nice little hack for you. And number 4 is to take a small action, such as making a decision about what you want to eat and seeing if you regret that decision or if it feels good to you. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter what you want to eat for dinner. It does matter how you put your life to use and what your purpose is and how you come to your calling. So you can choose to stay stuck and feel like your time is at a loss, you're wasting it, you don't know where your time is going, and you don't know where your energy is going. Or you can overcome your overthinking so that you can actually feel like your time is your own and you are moving in the right direction. So your call to action this week is to think about a decision you've been overthinking or stalling on, whether that's a big decision about what to do with your life or a side gig or a project, or if it's a small decision, like where you would like your next vacation to be, or where to go for dinner, or where to take a day trip. Choose one of the 4 techniques to try and see what you can find with your new decision if it helps you make things a little bit faster and a little bit easier on yourself. Now, I have a few announcements as well. This is very exciting as everyone's been asking me, how are things going? And I'm like, fantastic. I feel so creative. I've got new ideas coming. I have a whole new menu of products. So my first announcement is that I am holding the workshop I mentioned in my previous episode, How to Feel Your Feels before they get to a 10 or 11. And I will be holding that on Wednesday, March 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So this is completely virtual. It's completely free. And I will have a replay available for 24 hours as well. So if you can't make it live because you've got something going on or you're at work, no problem. Sign up for the course anyway. Because if you are lashing out at your family or your partner or your colleagues and coworkers because your emotions are getting out of hand and you want to stop doing that, this workshop is for you. If you're having trouble dealing with things when your partner isn't available to process with you, this workshop is for you. If you find that you tend to implode, meaning whenever you're upset about things, instead of there being a big explosion where you're yelling or screaming or whatever it is that you see people doing to express outwardly, you implode, meaning you feel bad for yourself. You start to feel guilty. You start to feel shame. You start to feel resentment. You judge yourself. If you're having a lot of trouble with that implosion where you're turning your negative feelings against yourself, this is the workshop for you. I will teach you how to catch yourself before you act out or before you act in. You don't have to lash out at yourself or at others. I will teach you how to practice dealing with discomfort, which is a capacity that you can actually grow as a highly sensitive person. And I will help you expand your capacity to feel emotions in general and still feel like you're yourself and that you're in control every single moment. And again, if any of these things interest you, I would love for you to sign up for my free workshop Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 3 p.m. How to feel your feels before they get to a 10 or an 11. If you like Spinal Tap, that's for you. And my next big announcement is about coaching. I do have some one-on-one spots available for 3 and 6 month packages, but I am really excited. This is kind of a soft launch to tell you that I have a number of options. If a one-on-one coaching package feels like a little bit too much to start, I have some new options for you. The first one is a monthly group coaching program. It'll be a little bit more reasonably priced, more affordable, if that's something that you're worried about. Some people don't. They're like, sign me up. I want to do the coaching. But if you're someone who just wants to dip your toe in a little bit, see more of my coaching style and some of the resources that I have available, this would be a great option for you. The Feel Your Feels workshop is going to kick off a brand new 6-week coaching program that I am super excited to announce, and you will get more details if and when you come to the workshop. So definitely sign up so you will be the first to know and to get those bonuses and early bird pricing for the new coaching program. I have also created a short intensive coaching session. It's basically a VIP day. So if you don't feel like you need ongoing support over 3 to 6 months, but you really just need someone to help you make a plan, to make a decision, to make it feel easy, and to help you tap into your vision and your dreams, I have that option available for you as well. So if any of these things appeal to you, or if all of them appeal to you, and you're trying to figure out which one is the best option for you, I would love it if you go to stephanielynn.com. The link will be in the show notes, and book a consultation call with me. I would love to help you work through your decision about which one is the right one, and I will be totally honest with you if none of these feel like a good fit for you, or if I think that there's a better resource out there. I have been networking a lot and growing my connections, and so there are some really great people out there that if I don't think I'm a good fit, I know I can pass you to someone who would be a great fit for you. If you are also curious but not quite ready to book a consultation call, you can hop on my email list from stephanielynn.com as well. That way you are the first to know about a lot of these new options. You'll be the first to know about workshops, and you will also get the weekly reminder for the drops on my podcast episodes, YouTube channel, and the blog that all cover these topics. Thank you so much for listening today. I know that was a lot of information about overthinking, and I hope that these tools and tips and tricks will really help you break out of those thought loops and break out of the worry and the rumination that you might be stuck in and start making progress again. Because you, as a highly sensitive person, have a lot to offer to your life, your relationships, your work, and to the world. And I want you to stop overthinking so that you can make your contribution now. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take what you learned today to the next level, head over to stephanielynn, that's LINN.com, and book a consultation call to get started. I can't wait to see you there, my dear HSP.